이번 주에는 하프앤하프 프리미엄으로 돌아왔습니다. 정태웅입니다. 반갑습니다.
And I'm Jeep. Welcome to Half and Half. Yeah, we have a difficult episode today. I think it'll be a little difficult. Well, maybe not difficult. It's just a very advanced topic. Do you want to introduce this in Korean first, and then I'll try my best in
네,
English?
좋아요. 이번 주제는 좀 복잡합니다. 우리는 살면서 음악가의 음악을 듣거나 요리사의 음식을 먹거나 뭐 그 외에도 다양한 서비스를 소비를 하고
Right.
또 물건을 사고 하는데요. 그렇게 그것을 만드는 사람이 있고
Yes.
그 사람들이 만든 것이 있는데
Yes.
만약 그 만든 사람이 뭔가 좀 사생활에 문제가 있다거나
Yeah.
뭐 범죄를 저질렀다는 뭐 의혹이 있거나
That happens too. Yeah.
네네 그렇게 됐을 때
Yeah.
과연 이 사람이 만들고 파는 것도 문제가 있는 걸까?
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, you summed it up very well. I mean, it's obviously hard to say this topic in a single like word or even a sentence. But I'll repeat basically what you said, Taeyong Sim. It's just that as we live our lives, naturally we buy things or interact with things. Sometimes it's like music, sometimes it's food that other people make. It could be like movies or TV shows or kind of almost anything. Sometimes, we interact with other media that people have made. But sometimes the people who've made that media will have some strong opinion that we don't like they have something controversial that they've said or done, or they might have even committed some crimes. I know in Korea, for example, like compared to like other countries, like drug use is extremely controversial. And so like sometimes some celebrity might get caught using drugs or something, or they might, have some kind of accident. It could be their fault or on purpose or not. But when you have some opinion about the person who made a product, there's the person and then there's the product. And how do you see those differently or separate from each other? And is it a problem if you use or enjoy that product even though you don't agree with the person who made it? I think that's basically what you said.
네, 맞습니다.
Okay.
잘 설명하셨어요. 맞아요. 지프가 얘기한 것 중에 제가 얘기 안 한 게 한국이 연예계에서 그 마약 문제에 또 되게 엄한 편이죠.
Yeah.
그 서구권, 미국, 캐나다에 비교해서.
And gambling too.
도박도 그렇죠. 맞아요.
Yeah. Like in other countries compared to Korea, at least where I'm used to, where I've lived, like gambling, like if a celebrity gambles, you'd be like, okay, like it's not a problem. Like, so yeah, it's illegal gambling, which is a different thing, of course. But yeah.
그렇죠. 그리고 마리화나 이런 것도 그냥 하잖아요, 다.
True. Yeah. Using marijuana. And even so, I don't know. This might be we're getting a little bit into this, but like, if, for example, in our culture, if somebody smokes regular cigarettes, not marijuana, but just regular cigarettes,
그냥 담배.
like a celebrity, that could be controversial in our culture because because it's considered setting a bad example for children if you see Tom Hanks or some famous celebrity smoking all the time. Brad Pitt or whatever, like parents will not like that example and they'll say, wow, I'm not going to show my kids any movies that have Tom Hanks now because, he smokes or whatever. But in Korea, I don't think that would be an issue because smoking is so much more common there. I'm just guessing. Like, I don't know that it would be as big a deal.
맞아요.
Yeah. So.
잠시만. 근데.
Yeah.
그 아이돌들이 많잖아요, 한국에.
Sure. Yeah.
그 아이돌한테는 그렇게 담배 피면 안 된다는 시각이 강하게 있는 것 같아요.
In Korea.
네, 근데
Okay.
근데 그냥 배우나 가수는 잘 모르겠네요.
Yeah, it could depend on the celebrity. Like you know, for example, if in our culture, if it was like some older comedian who's just for adults, then maybe it would be okay if they were seen smoking. But if it's like an actor who works on a children's television show or something, like idols, I'm not saying it's for kids, but lots of children like enjoy idol culture, and so maybe it's a
맞아요.
different thing because it's a younger audience. So
그건 또 비슷한 부분이 있긴 있네요.
yeah. So okay, there's one more thing I guess I'll say about the subject before we go more into it is we do have a phrase for this in English that we use pretty often. People will say separating the artist from the art.
오.
So this is a common phrase, separating the artist from the art. So when people want to talk about this topic, they'll usually use that phrase to kind of introduce the topic.
근데 딱 그렇게 표현하는 단어로 자리 잡은 거네요. 그
yeah.
작품과 예술가를 구분하자라고 하는 게.
I see. And you say that in Korean, is that a common phrase or are you just explaining it?
저는 그냥 그걸 설명한 거고.
Yeah.
한국에서는 이게 그렇게 많이 쓰이는 말은 아닌 것 같아요.
Okay, I see. Yeah, okay. So so the reason we I guess have this topic is because last time we talked in our reverse episode was it in the reverse one? Yeah.
아마 그럴 거예요.
Yeah. We kind of suddenly thought about this topic because I brought up no, this was from the pillow topic.
그런가? 그랬나요?
Right. So we were talking about pillows and I said, do you know who My Pillow guy is? And then I kind of explained it. And
네.
this controversial guy who sells this product called My Pillow. And then, I was like,
맞다.
okay, we should do that as a separate subject. So
네.
yeah, like I said there, I do have strong opinions about this. And we'll see if we have differences. I'll just say how I feel. For me, I very, very strongly avoid products made by people who I don't agree with or who I think are problematic in general, like for society or for me personally. I really, really try to avoid those products. And like for me, like it's almost like a light switch where it's like if I realize that this person or this company I don't like, I just turn the switch off. I'm just like, don't care, never gonna look at what they do, never gonna pay attention to them, never gonna talk about them. Like it's just like I just don't care about this person or what they make anymore, and that's that. If there was something that they did in the past that I enjoyed, then I probably won't enjoy it anymore. like I will just flip a switch and just be like, I'm done with this. So
네.
I'm very, very pretty strong about that. So
오.
but before you
일단,
go, yeah.
요약을 하면
Okay, go ahead.
네, 그 찌프의 경우는
Yeah.
그 만약에 찌프가 좋아하던 물건을 만드는 사람이 뭐 지금 문제가 생겼거나 예전에 그런 뭔가 좀 문제가 있던 사람이다. 그러면 그냥 끊어버린다는 거네요.
Yeah, exactly.
네. 그런데
But the one small caveat, and I've said this on this podcast many times, is I don't want to control other people's opinions. If somebody else does like that person or does like what they create, even if they disagree with them, that's fine. Other people can buy and enjoy those products. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to say don't do that. I'm not going to, tell somebody please don't buy this. I like they can do what they want to do and I'll do what I want to do. So I let people do what they want to do as well. So it's just me personally, I'll make a choice. And I will say also that the person who is making some product or some art, they can also redeem themselves, meaning, they can apologize or they can change their mind or
그쵸.
the information that I had previously, I could learn, I was actually wrong. There was some mistake about the news and the real truth is different than I thought. So I can change my mind too. So I'm saying those things, but so I can flip the switch off. I can flip the switch back on also. Yeah.
네. 자, 그럼 다시 정리를 해보면,
Yeah.
그 일단 문제가 있으면은 아예 쳐다도 안 보는데,
Yeah.
근데 정리했는데 까먹었다. 그래 다른 사람의 생각은 뭐 신경 안 쓴다는 거잖아요.
Yeah, exactly.
근데 그냥 찌프 혼자 그 물건을
Yes.
소비 안 한다 뿐이지.
Yes, yes.
근데 뭐 주변에 막 야 저 사람 이런 문제가 있대 이거 쓰지 마 이렇게 하는 사람들이 있는데
Mm-hmm.
찌프는 그러지는 않는 편이고.
Mm-hmm.
그리고 또 그 사람들이 잘못이 있어도 그 문제가 있는 생산자가
Mm-hmm.
반성을 하고
Mm-hmm.
뭐 사과를 할 수도 있는 거고 죄를 뉘우칠 수 있으니까
Yeah.
그때는 생각이 바뀔 수도 있는 거네요.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So how do you feel? What's your general opinion? And then maybe we can give some examples.
아 근데 저는 어려운 게
Mm-hmm.
제가 실제로 그렇게 느껴본 적이 그렇게 예가 많지가 않거든요.
Mm-hmm.
근데 왜냐면 제가 아까 찌프가 영어로 얘기해준
Mm-hmm.
그 예술가와 작품을 구분하자는 거를
Mm-hmm.
저는 그냥 제가 엄청 심하게 그렇게 해요.
Okay. Yeah.
그래서 어느 정도냐면
Mm-hmm.
제가 노래 듣는 거 되게 좋아하는데
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
어떤 가수나 그런 뭐 프로듀서 예술가를 사적으로 좋아하는 사람이 거의 없어요. 그냥 아예 없는 수준이에요.
I see. Uh-huh.
그냥 노래만 듣고 땡인 거죠.
Yeah.
그리고 심지어 유튜브에 뮤직비디오를 쳐서
Mm-hmm.
노래만 듣고 하면은 일부러 안 봐요.
Right. Generally, you're just like listening to music and enjoying it, and you don't even think about who's making it at all. Like you don't
네.
watch the video or anything. So you're not even sure who's producing and making it.
그건 정도는 알죠.
Okay. Yeah.
네네, 뭐 누가 만들고 듣는지 정도는 아는데,
Okay.
뭐 이 사람이 뭐 성격이 어떤지,
I see.
뭐 SNS에 뭘 올리는지 이런 건 전혀 신경을 안 쓰거든요.
Okay, so you know the artist who's making it, but you don't know anything about that artist. Like you don't know their personal opinions or like their I don't want to say private, but you don't know about like the other stuff outside of the music that they do and convey publicly.
네네, 맞아요.
Okay.
그런 편이고 똑같이 연기자,
연기자.
배우, 네, 연기하는 사람.
Okay.
네, 배우들도 어떤 배우를 사적으로 좋아하는 배우가 한 번도 없고 그냥 저 사람 연기가 괜찮다.
Right.
저 캐릭터가 좋다.
Right.
딱 그렇게만 느끼고
Right.
그러다 보니까요.
Right. So, okay, so that's a fair point. And I think I'm similar where I don't really think about specific actors that much that I really enjoy. Like I can say, oh, I like his acting or I like his character, but I don't like think about that person of who is the actor. But I'll give you a different example. What about like you sometimes I think we've talked about directors that you like. You like a certain movie director. So what about if a director, maybe you don't have an example, but if they had like some opinion that you disagreed with, or you found out that they were a bad person in your opinion or whatever, would you feel differently about their movies?
여기서 좀 찌프랑 제가 갈릴 수도 있는데,
Sure.
저는 좀 그런 부분에 대해서 약간 무심한 편이에요.
Okay, yeah, just ignore it.
완전히 무시하진 않고.
Yeah, on the side of ignoring, like 편히.
네.
Yeah.
그냥 뭐 사람이 뭐 다 뭐 별로인 부분이 있지 막 이런 생각을 많이 하거든요.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
그게 어떤 생각을 했냐면 지금까지는 우리가 뭐 영화나 뭐 음악 같은 예술적인 거,
Right.
좀 미디어만 얘기를 했잖아요.
Right.
근데 어느 날 그런 생각을 하다가 뭐 식당에 가서 밥을 먹고 있는데 만약에 그 밥이 너무 맛있는 거예요. 근데 만약에 이 맛있는 밥을 만들어준 내가 얼굴도 모르는 그 주방에 있는 주방장이
Right.
만약에 뭐 나랑 내가 전혀 이해할 수 없는 뭐 정치적인 발언을 한다거나
Yeah,
뭐,
that's usually the case. That's usually the case, right?
네, 그쵸.
Yeah, they're just in the kitchen. You don't know who made your food. Yeah.
네, 네. 그 만약에 그러면은 만약에 내가 그 주방장이 마음에 안 든다고 하면 안 드는 사람이라면
Mm-hmm.
그러면 나는 이 밥을 다음부터는 안 사 먹어야 되나? 이런 생각이 드는 거예요.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
그러면서 되게 좀 이 문제에 대해 생각을 많이 하게 됐거든요.
Right. Yeah. So I'll give you a couple examples. I'll give you a real example from my personal situation, and then I'll give you maybe an imaginary situation for you. So there's a restaurant very close to my house. I can walk there in like 3 minutes. They make breakfast, they make lunch, they make dinner. It's just a general like family diner, we would call it. And I've been there maybe 3 or 4 times, and the food was fine. Like it was good. Like it wasn't great, but it was fine. And then one of my coworkers said, "Hey, do you ever go to this restaurant?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "Have you ever read the reviews about that restaurant?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "You should go look." And I'm like, "Okay." So I looked at just some online reviews, and there was people who left a review that just said, "Oh, I didn't like the orange juice there," or like, "Oh, the food was fine, but the meat was a little tough," or whatever. Like, just small complaint.
네.
And the restaurant owner can respond to reviews. And the restaurant owner would like just be like, I don't want to say a bunch of bad words right now, but use a bunch of bad words and be like, "You're so stupid. You can't come to my restaurant and complain about my food. Like, I make it how I want to make it. And if you don't like it, then just don't buy it." And like really surprising, like shocking, like how like angry and weird this restaurant owner was. And like there was like 20 of these. It wasn't just like one time or something weird like that. Just always, he would always respond to reviews and just complain about the customers. And so I saw that and I was just like, wow, okay, I'm not going to go back to that restaurant anymore. Like that's just like, it's just horrible because he's like treating his customers very poorly. And when I first heard about that, like I was so surprised. So I like researched a little bit more, and people who used to work at his restaurant, like other like chefs or cooks at the restaurant, said that they were treated very badly. Like like their boss would yell at them all the time, and so they quit. And so I was just like, wow, okay, I can't support this business. Like, it's very, very close, and the food is okay. Like, there's no problems with the food, but I'm not gonna pay to support somebody who acts like this. That's my personal example. That's a real story. But
그러니까 네.
But my imaginary story for you, it would be like, what if you were in a restaurant and the food was good or fine, and you heard the manager of the restaurant yelling at the employees, like in the back, just yelling and saying, "Hey, do that faster," or like, "Hey, don't drop that," or something like that. Would that bother you in a way that you wouldn't go to that restaurant? It's a lighter example.
그렇죠. 근데 일단 찌프 얘기를 한번 짧게 정리하면,
sure.
찌프가 꽤 괜찮게 생각해서 자주 가던 패밀리 레스토랑 같은 곳이 있었는데, 근데 뭐 직장 동료가 거기 리뷰 한번 봐라 얘기를 해서 봤더니, 막 그 고객들이 남긴 리뷰에 막 사장이 막 뭐 쌍욕을 하고, 그리고 막 알고 보니 이전에 일했던 사람들이 막 그 거의 노동 착취를 당하고 막 욕을 듣고 했다는 거 아니에요? 이거 어렵다. 근데 저는 못 갈 것 같긴 해요. 저도.
Okay, you think you wouldn't be able to go either.
네, 그게
and not my example, just the example where maybe you heard him yelling at an employee, something like that. It's imaginary, but
근데 그게 그 사장이 그러면은 저는 안 갈 것 같거든요.
True.
근데 뭐 중간 관리자 한 명이나 뭐 직원 한 명이 그러면 그러니까 뭐 만약에 뭐 매니저, 사장, 그리고 뭐 웨이터, 웨이트 하는 사람들이 괜찮은데 내 음식을 만들어 주는 요리사만 문제다.
Right.
저는 그러면 그래도 갈 것 같아요.
I think that makes sense. And I kind of agree with that too. Like if it's just one employee that's like, causing some problem or that like feels problematic to you. Oh, there's a word that we use in English a lot. We say this word problematic. Problematic is referring to like this type of controversial situation or something like that. So it's like, oh, this employee is problematic or this restaurant is problematic, something like that. Yeah, it's different if it's the boss compared to just an employee, because the employee might be somebody who's temporary there, who the boss might want to change because of this problem or whatever. And you sort of have the opportunity to like complain. Like you could say, like send a message to that boss or leave a review that says, hey, I had this waiter who was very rude. I don't like this. Can you do better next time or something like that? So that's a different type of situation. I can agree with that.
네.
But I was going to say that, so I've had this experience before.
네.
I don't think I'm a disagreeable person, but I just want to explain my experience. There was a grocery store that I went to. It was a local grocery store where one of the people who did the checkout there, like,
계산해주는
ding, ding,
사람이요?
ding. Yeah. At the
네.
cash register was like always in a very, very like, I'll just say sour mood, like very kind of angry, and would like kind of complain, like as you were buying stuff, he'd be like, why are you buying that? You don't need to buy that. Or, just say weird things like that. And so when I would go to that grocery store or when I would walk past the grocery store, because I was like on my way home or whatever, I would look in the window, and if that employee was working, then I would just keep walking and go home. But if I looked in the window and he wasn't there, then I would go and buy something at the store. So I would just go avoid buying stuff while that person was there. So I don't know if that counts, but like I've had those situations as well.
좀 이상한 사람의 안 좋은 이야기인데 그냥 이렇게 듣기만 하면 좀 웃기네요. 좀.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a little funny.
근데 그 문제는 그 이번 주제랑은 사실 좀 다르죠.
Yeah, I think it's different too. I agree.
네네, 그건 진짜 서비스의 자체에 문제가 있었던 거니까.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's different.
근데 이제
go
우리의 고민 지점은 우리가 고민하는 그 포인트는
Sure.
그러니까 만약 그 체크아웃 해주는 사람이 되게 막 손도 빠르고 친절하게 좋은 서비스를 해줘요.
Yeah.
만약에. 근데 막 SNS에서 막 모르는 사람한테 막 욕하고 막 차별 메시지하고 그런 문제가 있는 사람인 거예요.
Right. You're right. It is a little different. We should talk about that too. Fair point.
네. 그거가 좀 아이러니하다고 생각하거든요.
Right. So I mean, I've had situations like that too. These are not personal situations, but I can kind of describe them where, and I don't want to call out like a specific band because like I just don't think it's appropriate for like this podcast. But I'll just say there was a specific band that I very much enjoyed. I liked, several of their albums that I listened to. And then like on their social media, like on, I don't know if it was on Twitter or what, they were complaining about, this is so weird to say. I'm trying to think of how to explain this. Okay, so in England, this is an English music artist. I can say that without going too specific.
네, 영국 밴드.
Yeah. This was during the time when England was voting on Brexit. Brexit is the England and the UK leaving Europe or not leaving
네,
Europe.
EU에서 영국이 탈퇴하는 그거였죠.
Right, exactly. And so some people had opinions on yes or no, and that's fine. I think that's not like super disagreeable. But this music artist was posting like very racist things, like saying that the UK should leave Europe because they really didn't like immigrants coming into the country, But they didn't phrase it like that. They were very racist about the way they were saying, like very overtly racist. And I was just like, oh wow, this is really awful. Like, you know, there's no apology, there's no like shame. That's just how they feel about it, and they want to let other people know how they feel. And basically I was just like, okay, well then I can't listen to your music anymore. Like I just, no matter how much I enjoy this person's music, I just like, so let me explain it this way though. I forgot to say this. There are so many other bands out there. There's so many other songs out there. I can never listen to everything, right?
네.
And so if I don't listen to this artist's music, I can listen to something else instead. There's always some other thing I can listen to. So I can just stop enjoying that music and I can enjoy something else. Like it's easily replaceable for me in that case.
네.
And kind of no matter how much I enjoy that person's music, I'm not going to force myself to, or force myself is a very weird way to say it. I'm always going to have in the back of my head, you know, that artist saying those racist things and just being like, I'm not able to enjoy music the same way that I could before. I cannot separate the artist from the art in that sense. So,
맞아요.
yeah.
그러니까 지프가 꽤 좋아하던 잉글랜드 밴드가 있었는데
Yeah.
그 밴드 전체가 그런 거예요? 아니면 뭐 멤버 한 명이 그런 거예요?
It's one member. It was the main member of the band, but even if it was just one of, you know, 5 people, I would still feel similarly about it.
그렇구나.
Yeah.
아무튼 그 밴드의 사람이 되게 인종차별적인 말을 하고 해서
Yeah.
그 이후로는 안 듣고 뭐 밴드야 사실 많으니까 다른 밴드 노래 들으면 된다 이거잖아요.
Yeah, exactly. So.
저도 비슷한 경험이 있거든요. 그것도 한국 밴드. 저도 무슨 밴드라고는 얘기 안 하겠지만. 근데 한국에 뭐 그렇게 유명한 밴드가 그렇게 많지는 않아서.
Okay. Yeah, maybe people can guess what you're talking about.
그 밴드가 하나 있었고 꽤 유명했고 저도 노래를 좀 좋아해서 많이 듣던 밴드였거든요. 근데 그 메인 보컬은 아닌 메인 간판 멤버는 아닌 다른 멤버가 막 혐오 발언 같은 거를 계속 인터넷에 하고.
What is 혐오? I don't know that word actually.
혐오.
If you can explain it a little.
이유 없이 그냥 막 싫어하는 거예요.
Okay.
네. 그래서 뭐 이민자 혐오. 뭐 남성 혐오, 여성 혐오.
Okay. I see.
네네 이렇게. 그래서 진짜 별로다 생각을 했었어요. 근데 사실 제가 그 밴드의 노래를 들을 때 그 나쁜 말을 한 멤버의 그 역할이 밴드에서 역할이 저한테 크게 좀 와닿지 않았어요.
I see.
그러니까 그 멤버가 뭐 다른 뭐 연주자로 대체돼도 아무 상관이 없었던 거죠.
I see.
근데 그래서 그 멤버가 지금은 활동을 안 하는데 그 당시에 나왔던 노래들을 저는 아직 들어요.
I see. Okay.
네, 그런 경우가 있고.
I see. So in this case, there was enough members in the band that the one person, you know, who you disagreed with or, you know, thought did bad things isn't featured on every song. And so you can enjoy the songs that he's not
아니요.
a part of? Maybe I misunderstood.
그 모든 곡에
Yeah.
그 꼭 필요한 악기를 연주를 하는데.
Okay.
근데 제가 그 악기 연주가 좋아서 노래를 들었던 게 아니거든요.
Okay, I see. You weren't listening to the band because of that member. You enjoyed other parts of the music besides
그쵸.
that member, or maybe even despite that member.
네.
I see. Okay.
그런 경우가 있었고.
Yeah.
또 다른 경우는 너무 특정되려나?
That's fine. Go ahead.
뭐 어떤 그 힙합 아티스트가 있었는데 근데 막 그렇게 막 음악적으로 엄청 좋아하진 않았어요, 원래. 근데 그냥 뭐 제가 좋아하는 다른 랩, 뭐 힙합 아티스트랑 뭐 노래를 내거나 뭐 제가 좋아하는 프로그램에 나오거나 해서 그냥 뭐 재밌다 뭐 노래도 그냥 뭐 뜨문뜨문 들었거든요. 근데 그 범죄를 저지른 거예요.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
근데 뭐 범죄가 뭐 대마초 마리화나처럼
Okay.
뭐 어떤 문화권에서는 뭐 당연히 뭐 괜찮을 수 있는 그런 류가 아니라
Okay. It was a serious, real crime.
네 그냥 누가
오케이.
봐도 문제인
Yeah. Okay.
그런 문제를 저지른 거예요. 근데 그 이후로 노래도 하나도 안 좋게 들리고
Yeah.
그리고 막 다시 뭐 다른 뭐 유튜브든 어디 나오면 하나도 재미가 없어요.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
그래서 생각을 해봤는데 이 경우에는 그 아티스트와 그 아트를 구분하는 게 어려운 것 같아요.
Right. Right. And you
근데,
think
네.
that was like a subconscious difference for you? Like you didn't enjoy, the videos or the music anymore, but
네.
but it's because you knew about that crime and now like you felt like it was hard to separate the art from the artist.
그게 생각해 보니까
Yeah.
제가 노래를 소비할 때는 그 노래를 부른 사람의 캐릭터를 그러니까 제가 그 분리하지 못했던 거죠. 그냥 그 캐릭터로 소비하는 거죠.
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
좀 설명하기 어렵네요.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. Like the persona of that artist, that character that he portrays is part of what you're consuming as somebody who enjoys that art
네,
or
네,
that
네.
specific entertainment.
맞아요.
Yeah, okay. I see.
근데
Yeah.
그 래퍼 말고
Yeah.
아까 얘기했던 밴드는요.
Right.
저는 사실은 그 음악이랑 그 메인 멤버 그 문제가 없는
Right.
그 메인 멤버의 이미지만 소비했던 거예요.
I see what you mean. Yeah, so like in English we sometimes say the face of the band. So the
네.
face is like the main person who is the sort of the image of that band. If you have a problem with them, it's much harder to like enjoy the music. Or if it's a rapper who you're constantly listening to his words. But when it's somebody who's not like as important to the image of the band, they just play an instrument, and that instrument, like you hear the instrument, but you don't think about the person who's necessarily playing the instrument. It's easier to separate the two.
네.
Yeah, makes sense.
그렇죠.
I see. It makes sense.
네. 그렇다 보니까 그 예술가 그러니까 뭐 음악가나 배우를 캔슬하는 거랑 우리가 처음 얘기했던 초반에 얘기했던 그 뭐 요리사를 캔슬하는 건
Right.
또 다른 문제인 것 같더라고요.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of I did give you one example, but I'll see if I can think of another. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's hard to think of examples like that.
네.
Yeah.
그러니까 그 캔슬 컬처라고 하잖아요.
Yeah, cancel culture. I mean, it's a commonly used phrase, and even cancel culture itself is a very controversial phrase. Some people say that cancel culture does or does not exist. Like some people say there's no such thing as cancel culture. There's consequence culture, which is you do something bad and then there's consequences. So
그렇구나. 오, 몰랐네요.
so the term itself is very controversial, but I don't
쉽지
know.
않네요. 참.
Yeah, it's a tough topic. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't feel like so we have another phrase in English. We say walking on eggshells. Do you know that phrase?
그 뭐예요?
So walking on eggshells means you're being very, very careful not to say something bad or not to like say something controversial. This conversation, I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I'm trying to state my opinion and be very clear about it, but but it is a difficult topic. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, maybe I'll give you a weird example. I don't know if this counts, but there's this person I knew, who this was many years ago, that I would see pretty often at like parties and stuff like that. Like we would hang out or we would do stuff together. But a rumor, and it's not a rumor because it's fake. It's a rumor because it's true in this case. There's a rumor that he was having a relationship with some other person who was already married to somebody else, right? Right. So he was having an affair, or that person was having an affair with him, basically, right?
남자였어요?
Yeah. This was a guy.
오케이. 네, 누군가의 내연남이다.
Yeah. And so when I found out about this, and I'm sure that it was true, like 100% sure it was true, I felt like I don't really want to hang out with this person anymore. Like, I don't want to be this person's friend. I'm not going to enjoy being in their company. And just because, like, we had a lot of close friends who were all like, you know, friends together, basically. I would see him occasionally, but I was just like, I just can't enjoy having a conversation with this person anymore after I found that out. I don't know if that counts for this conversation, but I have the same feeling in that situation. I would not really invite that person anywhere anymore or like want to be friends with them. So I don't know. Just another example. Yeah.
근데 그거는 또 이번 주제랑 좀 다르긴 하죠.
It's also different.
네, 그 서비스를 소비하는 게 아니니까.
Yeah. Like if it was like, you know, somebody who's a chef at a restaurant, not the most important chef, but just somebody who works there, and then I heard this rumor about them, this exact same rumor, would I be like, oh, I'm never gonna go to that restaurant and order food there? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
네, 이건 닥쳐봐야 알 것 같고 또 그 문제, 그러니까 그 사람의 그 문제의 크기에 또 따라 다를 것 같기도 하고.
Right.
네. 근데 그러면은 좀 한 걸음 더 들어가 볼게요.
Sure, yeah. One more step forward. Yeah.
그냥 예술을 뭐 누리고 즐기거나 뭐 단순히 물건을 사는 거 말고도 다른 차원의 서비스가 있잖아요.
Like what?
불을 끄는 소방관의 구조라든지. 네, 소방관이 불을 끄는 것도 뭐 어떻게 보면 서비스죠.
Right. True. Yeah, that's true.
네, 그리고 비행기에 사람들을 많이 태우고 조종하는 파일럿이나.
Right.
아니면 뭐 적국의 병사들이랑 싸워야 하는 군인이나.
Right, true.
그런 사람들이 만약에 아주 실력이 있는데 막 뭐 레이시스트다, 뭐 성차별, 섹시스트다.
Yeah, and
그런 경우는 어떡하죠?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's hard to know. Like you know, a pilot is a good example. I mean, I guess you can know who the pilot of your airplane is, but like you won't know until you get on the plane. Basically, like if at all, like it might be somebody who's kind of invisible to you, and so if you don't know anything about that person, like, you know, how can you make a judgment about it? And would you skip a flight if you're like, oh, I know that this pilot is a racist? Like, yeah, it's a lot harder. Yeah.
그리고 빠뜨린 예가 하나 있어요.
Okay, yeah.
그리고 당장 내 아픈 몸을 수술해줄 의사.
Right. Yeah.
만약에 두 명의 의사가 있어요.
Yeah.
한 명은 수술 성공률이 굉장히 높아요.
Yeah. Yeah.
근데 막 바람 피우고 그리고 막 트위터에 막 인종차별 발언하고
Right.
막 그런 사람이고 막 그런 사람인데 다른 한 명의 의사는 인격적으로 참 훌륭한데
Right.
아직 의사 된 지 얼마 안 돼서 수술 성공률이 좀 낮아요.
Right. So, okay, I'll explain that because I think that's an interesting question. Is you have you need to get a surgery, and there's two possible doctors that you can pick between, or two surgeons you can pick between, and one, has extramarital affairs and is racist online, and you know this. But his skill is very, very good. And then your other choice is somebody whose skill is not as good. Maybe your survival rate for the surgery is not good, but seems like a great person, very nice.
네.
How do you choose between those two when your life is at risk, or
네.
the success of the surgery is at risk? Yeah, it's hard. Honestly, like you know, when we talk about like theoretically, what would you do? Like, I can try and make some choice that might or might not reflect reality. Hypothetical question. I'll answer how I think that I would behave, but I can't guarantee. I think that I would go with the nice surgeon with less skill, or at least I would try to find a third surgeon. So I would do research and try to find somebody else who can do this surgery that's, not A or B. I would try to find choice C. That's how I think I would behave. But yeah, it's hard to say.
뭐 이론적으로 생각할 때 그렇다는 거죠.
Right. Yeah. But if I had only choice A and B, I believe that I would go with B. That's what I believe. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe not if it was life or death. but if it was like, a somewhat important surgery, I don't know. It's hard to say.
그럼 만약에 그 중요한 수술인데
Yeah.
문제는
Yeah.
지프가 받을 수술이 아니라면요.
Oh, who? My wife?
지프한테 아주 소중한 사람이라면.
Oh, somebody that I really care about. So I've already said this at the start, is I would say that it's their choice, but what if that person is like in a coma? Like,
그러니까요.
I have to make the choice for them. What would I do? Hard choice. I think, again, this is hypothetical, but how I think I would behave is I would imagine myself as that person. I would say, if I was that person, what choice would I make as them? I would have to try to do it that way. And maybe if they didn't feel as strongly about it, then I would make the choice that they would make. But I don't think I'm dodging the question. I'm just trying to be honest.
아니, 저 감동받았습니다.
Oh, cool.
그러니까 와, 그러면 그러니까 지금 혼수 상태에 있는 그 소중한 사람이 이 사람이라면 어떤 의사를 골랐을까 생각해 본다는 거죠.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So yeah.
우문현답이네요.
Oh, cool.
감동적인데요.
Yeah. What choice would you make? Do you feel as strongly about it, or you have a different thought about it?
전 대답을 못 하겠어요.
You don't have to answer. That's fine.
근데 저라면 자랑스럽진 않지만 저는 그 인간적인 문제가 있지만 성공률이 높은 의사를 고를 것 같은데 잘 모르겠네요.
All right.
근데 그러니까 좀 그 저의 그 시니컬함이 좀 남아 있는 거죠.
Right. Yeah.
뭐 누구나 다 인간적인 문제가 있지.
Right.
근데 그냥 이렇게 생각해 버리는 거예요. 그게 근데 이게 사실 되게 간편한, 편리한 마인드거든요.
Yeah, sure.
더 고민을 해볼 필요가 없는 거예요, 그냥. 그리고 그냥 셀프 디펜스가 되죠.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you got to protect yourself. I understand.
아니,
No?
그런가.
You're saying it's a defensive way that you avoid thinking about really difficult
맞아요.
struggles or struggling with like moral dilemmas.
네네, 맞아요.
Okay, I see.
그러니까 사실은 좀 더 깊은 고민을 해보고
Yeah.
더 나은 선택이 있을지 생각을 해보고 그렇게 더 숙고를 해야 하는데 또 그래서 설령 그때의 선택이 좀 나쁜 선택이더라도
Sure.
그 이후에는 더 나은 선택을 하는데 도움이 될 수 있잖아요.
Yeah, true. That's absolutely true.
네, 근데 이제 그런 식으로 막 시니컬하게 좀 다 인간이 다 그렇지 뭐 이렇게 하고 하면 좀 위험한 부분이 있는 것 같긴 해요.
Okay, I get it. Makes
네네.
sense.
근데 왜냐면 제가 그런 부분이 있어요.
Right. Yeah, true. You've had that experience in your real life. That's true.
네,
Yeah,
네.
yeah. All right, I'll do this. What would you do in the comments? How would you answer this question?
네.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah.
그쵸.
Yeah.
그러니까 이게 근데 참 문제들이 그 무게가 달라지는 것 같아요.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's different
네.
levels of it. Yeah.
네, 제가 똑같은 문제들이 있다고 생각을 했는데,
Right.
그게 그냥 TV나 컴퓨터에서 보는 영화 배우가 뭐 문제 발언을 하고 문제 행동을 한 거랑 내가 매일 가는 식당에 요리사가 그런 사생활 문제가 있다는 걸 안 거랑 그리고 내일 저나 제 엄마 수술을 할 의사가 이런 문제가 있다는 걸 알게 됐을 때랑 그 문제의 크기가 달라지는 느낌이에요.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's different levels of problematic where some things matter more than others, and it also depends on the situation of how they're serving you. I think, yeah, like, I hadn't thought about it maybe this deeply until we talked about it, but you're right. Like the way that they serve you, what they're doing for you, it does make a difference in how much you care or don't care about these problems. It's some combination of the two. Like how problematic is it, and like at what level are they serving you? But I will say this. I hadn't mentioned this before, but I think it's worth mentioning. Because you were saying like, being cynical and stuff like that. People can make mistakes also. And I think that intent is very important. If this happens sometimes, somebody might say something racist, but it's because they literally didn't know that they were being racist. Like they didn't even they just made a mistake. They hadn't even considered how they were speaking or thinking about something. And like I said, they can make an apology or whatever. But I'll go away from racism. I'll talk about something else. Like if I knew that the owner of some business killed somebody, like literally killed somebody,
네.
but it was a complete accident and it was not their fault. Like it was a mistake that they just was not their fault at all. Then I don't have any problem with that.
네.
They didn't intend to kill somebody.
그렇죠. 사고로 한 거면.
Even if they killed my favorite music artist, like they killed somebody that I really like, I wouldn't have a problem with that. They kill somebody that I know, that I'm personally like, this is an important person to me. If they did it by accident, not a problem.
사고니까. 네.
Yeah, if it's an accident, I don't care. But if the owner of a restaurant wanted to kill somebody, like intended to, or even tried to and failed to kill somebody, I would have a huge problem with that, right?
그렇죠. 네.
Yeah. So intent is very important also. It's not just they did something bad. It's they intended to do something bad. I think that's more important.
의도.
Yeah. It's what's in their heart and in their mind that's important, right?
그렇죠. 의도가 좀 생각이 짧아서 한 실수인지,
Right.
뭐 사고였는지 아니면 진짜 악랄한 의도를 가지고 한 건지, 그건 굉장히 중요하죠.
Right. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. That's my strong opinions. I don't know
맞아요.
if there's more to say, but that's how I feel. Yeah.
저는 또 많이 느끼는 게 그렇다 보니까 우리가 얘기한 그 다양한 예들을 생각하다 보니까
Mm-hmm.
좀 그 그러니까 사람들이
Mm-hmm.
일반화를 하기 되게 쉬운 것 같아요, 요즘.
I think so. Yeah.
그리고 그 일반화도 제가 말한 그 시니컬리즘이랑 비슷하게
Mm-hmm.
편리하잖아요.
Probably.
편해요. 편하다.
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
네네. 그 일반화를 하면 되게
Yeah.
편해요. 그 어떤 상황에서 그런 얘기를 했는지,
Mm-hmm.
왜 어떤 그 맥락에서 그런 말을 하고 행동을 했는지,
Mm-hmm.
그리고 막 뭐 그 주위에 어떤 이유가 있었고 막 그런 복잡한 걸 생각 안 해도 되거든요. 일반화를 하면.
Right. Yeah.
근데 만약에 맞다.
Mm?
또
Yeah.
아, 그 얘기하고 싶었는데 못했던 그 얘가 만약에 뭐 우리가 얘기했던 모든 예 중에서
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
뭐 밴드 프론트맨이든
Sure. Mm-hmm.
요리사든
Mm-hmm.
그 의사든
Mm-hmm.
만약에 그런 문제가 있는 사람이요.
Mm-hmm.
만약에 제 친구나 가족이라면
It's like in the same family as somebody who is a friend of yours.
네네네.
아하.
만약에 그렇다면
Yeah. If it's imaginary situation, I understand. But go ahead.
당연하죠.
Yeah.
근데 만약에 그렇다면
Yeah.
저 사람이 그러니까 만약에 뭐 제가 좋아하는 친구다.
Mm-hmm.
그러면 제가 말은 저렇게 했는데
Mm.
그리고 막 제가 저런 짓을 했는데 그래도 좋은 부분도 있는 친구인데
Mm-hmm.
좀 그런 생각이 들 수도 있잖아요.
Right. Sure. Mm-hmm.
그러니까 그게 또 완전히 다른 사람이 똑같은 짓을 했을 때랑
Right.
그 사적인 감정에 있는 사람이 했을 때랑 또 우리의 태도가 달라지기도 하잖아요.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You might have a different attitude about it in that case.
네.
Yeah, I think that I feel not much differently about it, even if that person was related to a good friend of mine. I don't think I approach it too much differently in that case, honestly. Yeah, but I understand why you could see it differently, or that you would have a different attitude about it. It makes sense.
네, 뭐 저도 그렇다고는 얘기 안 했습니다.
Okay. Oh, okay.
예. 저는 제 주변 사람들한테 더 엄격해요.
Okay. I see.
네가 그러면 안 되지. 막 이렇게 막 많이 하는 편인데.
Mm-hmm.
네, 막 제 가족들한테나 친구들한테나 그런 편인데 아무튼 근데
Mm.
이제 그런 사람들이 많은 것 같아요.
Yeah, of course.
그리고
Lots. Yeah.
불과 10초 전에 저는 안 그렇다고 얘기했지만 저도 또 모르죠.
Right. Yeah. If you
네.
don't know, then you don't know. Yeah.
네, 그 실제로 진짜 그런 심각한 상황이 올 때까지는 모르죠. 우리가
Sure.
진짜 어떻게 할지는.
True. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah. And we just don't know. And that's the thing. So I haven't mentioned this at all, but I think it maybe is interesting. I just thought, okay, sorry, I'm thinking of an example ahead of my example. So I work in game development. I develop games. And because of that, I'm much more familiar with the people and the companies who make games, both at being aware because it's my job to know about other games and developers, but also on a personal level. Like sometimes I might know things about developers that isn't public information. I just happen to know, right? Because I'm a friend of a friend, or
네.
I witnessed it myself at some conference or something like that.
네, 다 아는 사람들이죠. 다 아는
Right.
얼굴들이죠.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a small industry. Everybody knows everybody. So with music or, with restaurants, I might not know much about the people who make it unless I intentionally go look for information, or it's a very big controversy or somebody tells me. But with the game industry, the games that I play, I'm usually very aware of almost any game that I play. I know a few people who've worked on it, or I know a lot about the company who made it. And so I tend to be actually pretty selective about the games that I play, more selective than music, Meaning, if I know that so and so worked on some game, I want to help support that person. Or if I know somebody I don't like worked on that game, I'll just avoid it. And so, because I know more about games, I can be more careful about knowing exactly, who is working on what and things like that. Or even at the company scale, like I can say, oh, this company worked on this game. I don't care. I'm not going to look at it. But this reminded me of the second example that I want to mention is so my this is gonna sound unrelated, but I swear it's related. My wife works in like bookkeeping or finance, accounting basically, and she had a client who worked in or a business in Alaska. So she had a client whose business was in Alaska, and so my wife would fly to Alaska on a plane like a couple times a year to go to that client's business, do some accounting, and then come home. And one time I went with my wife because I was like, oh, I want to go to Alaska. It'll be a nice trip. We can go. And so I met with her client. And her client was, super, super nice person. And like there was no problems there. But she knew the client knew that I made games. She knew that as a job I make games. I'm a game programmer. She knew that. And so so she was talking to me. She's like, "Oh, I like to play games sometimes." So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. What games do you play?" And she mentioned like, "Oh, I play this game, I play that game, I play this game." And one of the games that she mentioned, in my opinion, because of the people who made it, was extremely controversial. Like, and this is like a very, very small game. It's made by like 1 or 2 developers, but those developers stole that idea from a different developer. Like some game came out first, and then they stole that idea and made a different game that became more popular. And the original game, didn't do very well because of this newer game. And she's like, "Oh, I played this game." And so, like I said at the start, like I didn't tell her, like, "Don't play that game, play this other game instead, play the original game." I didn't say that. What I said was, "Oh, that's really cool. If you enjoy that game, have fun with it, enjoy." And I didn't tell her about the controversy because I wanted her to be able to enjoy that game carefree without having like the burning hate in her heart, knowing that this game was stolen by, like some really bad developers. So I just didn't tell her. I let her be innocent of the fact that this game was stolen. So anyway, true story. That's my real life example. There you go. Wow. Sometimes I let people be ignorant.
굉장히 잘 쓰여진 단편 문학 작품을 읽은 것 같습니다.
Right.
그러니까 지프는 그러니까 혹시 그 어려웠던 구독자분들을 위해 설명드리자면, 지프는 게임 업계에서 오랫동안 일해서 그 또 거기 게임계가 그렇게 큰 영역은 아니라 뭐 한두 달이 건너면 다 아는 사람들이고 소식을 많이 아는데,
exactly.
그리고 또 지프의 아내분께서는 그 회계 쪽 일을 하시는데, 그 클라이언트 한쪽이 그 알래스카에 있어서 뭐 왔다 갔다 하는데 지프가 한번 따라갔었어요. 근데 거기서 만난 그 알래스카 클라이언트 분이 좋은 사람이었고 친절한 사람이었고, 그 지프가 게임 쪽 일을 하니까 나도 게임 하는 거 좋아해요. 이런 게임 해요. 이렇게 얘기했는데 그 재밌게 플레이한다고 했던 게임 중에 하나가 그걸 만든 개발자가 다른 개발자의 아이디어로 훔친 사람인 거예요.
Yes.
근데 지프는 거기서 그 사람 그거 훔친 아이디어예요. 이렇게 얘기를 하지 않았다는 거죠. 왜냐면 그 클라이언트가 재미있게 게임을 즐기는 그 경험을 망치고 싶지 않았기 때문에.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted her to just enjoy playing games without thinking about the artist.
예술이다.
Yeah. Perfect translation also. But I will say, and then going back to maybe the original example that I gave, where my friend said, "Oh, read reviews from this restaurant," like he said to me. And then I found out the owner of the restaurant was like a bad person. I was like, oh, I don't want to go there. So I talked to that friend after I said, oh, I'm never going to go there again. And the friend said, oh, I'm sorry that I ruined the restaurant for you. He was like, oh, I'm sorry I told you because now you're not going to go. But I was like, don't be sorry. Like, I want to know that. like I want to know that the owner is a bad person and that I shouldn't go there. Like, you should tell me. Like, I would feel bad if I kept going there for many years, and then, after supporting them for years and years, I found out, like, I would feel even worse. So I'm glad that they told me. I was happy. So, I don't know.
근데
Yeah.
지프는 그 클라이언트 분한테는 얘기를 안 한 거네요.
True. Maybe they would be happy as well. It's possible. It's a fair point. Yeah, it's like you said, it's kind of a moral dilemma. Like, should I tell them or not tell them? Would they be happier knowing or not knowing? In this case, the reason I decided not to tell them and let them enjoy it, there's one extra factor that I'll add to this. It was my wife's client, not my, not my situation. And I didn't want to say something that caused a problem with my wife's client, right? And maybe it would be better, maybe it would be worse, but I just didn't want to do something that would affect that situation. If it was my close friend or my client or whatever, then maybe I would probably tell them. There's more of a chance that I would tell them. Or if they were a person who plays lots and lots of games, if I say don't play this game, or here's why I think you shouldn't play this game, they have lots of other choices.
그렇죠.
But this specific person, the client of my wife, was not really a gamer. She didn't know very many games. She was a very, very casual gamer. And so I didn't want to take away from her the one thing that she did like, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
그렇죠.
Yeah.
So
hard.
지프의 클라이언트도 아니고 아내분의 클라이언트이기도 했고 또 게임을 많이 하는 사람도 아니었으니까 그분이.
Yeah, but it's a fair point. I maybe could have made a different decision. So. Yeah.
참 근데
Yeah.
저는 진짜 남의 아이디어 훔쳐가는 사람들을 진짜 싫어합니다.
Yeah, absolutely.
그리고 그 사람들보다 더 싫은 사람들이 있어요.
Oh, yeah.
제 아이디어를 훔쳐가는 것들이죠.
Oh, really?
몇 번 있었어요.
Oh, what would you steal? Or maybe you shouldn't say, but.
뭐 얘기해도 되고 안 해도 되는데.
Mm-hmm.
뭐 얘기해도 되긴 되고 해도 좋을 건 없는 얘기긴 한데. 그냥 제가 처음에 시작한 유튜브 아이디어 컴프리hensive input 코리안 그거를 그대로 뺏긴 사람들이 좀 있었어요. 근데 그대로 뺏겨가서 저보다 더 잘 됐었어요.
So that may be true, but I think the situation is a little bit different because in the case where the person stole the game idea and made this game, they very intentionally did it because they wanted to make a bunch of money, and they wanted the other original game to fail. Like they were like, if our game is successful, this other game will fail. Where in the case where you're taking an idea and using it for this podcast, like you aren't necessarily preventing somebody else from making what they want to make. Like the content that you're making is more original, even if the idea is borrowed, right?
아니 진짜
Yeah.
포맷이랑
Yeah.
썸네일까지 똑같이 따라했거든요.
Oh, really?
네, 진짜 똑같이. 진짜 열이 뻗쳐가지고 진짜 밤에 잠을 못 잤는데 이제야 얘기하네요.
I see. Wow.
네. 그리고 막 다른 나라에서도 똑같이 만드는 사람들도 좀 있고. 네. 근데 뭐 그거는 뭐 그렇게 화나지는 않는데.
Okay, I see. Did you ask them first, or did you do it before you asked them?
제가 물어봤냐고요?
Yeah, yeah.
아니요.
Oh, okay, okay.
그냥 발견한 거예요.
Okay, okay.
유튜브에 내 걸
Just doing
똑같이...
research and you found it.
네.
I see.
제 거를 똑같이 따라하고 있는 사람을 본 거예요.
I see. But it was a different language, right?
아니요.
No, also Korean.
네.
Interesting.
아무튼.
Alright.
제가 좀 흥분했습니다.
Wow. Get it off your chest, maybe.
예, 이게 그게 그 컴프리hensible 그러니까 제가 한국어 가르치기 위해 만든 채널은 지금 그냥 이렇게 편하게 이야기하는 그런 전형적인 평범한 그러니까 스탠다드한 느낌의 콘텐츠가 아니었거든요. 그러니까 당시에 진짜 거의 아무도 안 하던 거였고 그래서 제가 유일했었단 말이에요.
I see. Yeah, I think that again, there's this concept of everything is a remix, where if you're making something, usually you take many different original ideas and then you combine them in a new form and make changes to it, and make it your own. And again, specifically about this one game example that I'm talking about, it wasn't any different. It was exactly the same game, literally exactly the same game, like exact copy.
네.
So yeah.
아니 뭐 그래요. 다시 주제로 이제 돌아가서 마무리를.
Okay. I understand. All right.
네. 아무튼 우리 이번에는 cancel culture 아니면 consequence culture?
Right. Consequence culture. Yeah.
네, 뭐 그런 거라고 할 수 있는 서비스 제공자, 뭐 제품 생산자의 개인적인 문제, 개인적인 비도덕적인 것들, 그것들이 그들의 서비스와 제품에 어떻게 연관이 있을까?
Yep.
그거를 한번 얘기해봤는데요.
Definitely. So basically, we talked about people who provide a service or who make art. How can you separate the artist from the art, and do you? And it's a tough topic. I think partly because we have different opinions on it, and I think probably everybody listening has different opinions too. There's varying degrees of how much they care or don't care about this, and it's not just black and white. It's very, very many shades of gray in between as well. Yeah.
네, 맞아요. 듣고 계시는 분들도 다양한 의견이 있을 거고. 그 찌프 말대로 이거 흑백의 문제, 딱 뭐 그렇다 아니다로 딱 나눌 수 있는 문제가 아니라 되게 여러 면이 있고 또 그 맥락과 다양한 상황이 있을 수 있는 문제라는 걸 우리가 좀 잘 표현한 것 같아요. 제 생각에.
I think so.
이번 대화가.
Yeah, it's a good conversation.
네, 그래서 이렇게 요즘 많이 느끼는 건데 사람들이 좀 이런 것들에 대해 우리처럼 서로를 존중하는 태도를 가지고 좀 더 대화를 많이 하면 참 좋겠다 생각이 들어요.
Yeah, me too. I think that would be really nice if there was a bit of a conversation opened about it. Yeah.
네, 그리고 가능하면 가까운 친구들이나 가족들이랑도 또 이런 깊은 얘기를 나누면 좀 더 관계가 더 깊어지고 또 수준이 높아지지 않을까 싶습니다.
Yeah. Even if you don't talk to us, talk to your friends and family. It's a good conversation to have, I think. So hopefully it opens something up for you.
사실 그 오늘 했던 주제 같은 좀 깊은 생각을 하게 되는 주제들을 가지고 좀 한국인들을 위한 그 한국 사람들이랑 하는 팟캐스트를 좀 만들고 싶거든요. 제가 좀 요새 이런 이야기가 너무 하고 싶나 봐요. 제가 좀 그래서 좀 네, 원하고 있습니다. 혹시 관심이 있으신 한국인 구독자분이 계시면 저한테 메일 해주시고요.
Yeah, that sounds good.
그리고 영어 듣기가 잘 되시는 분은 마이크 하나만 챙기시면 하프앤하프에도 나올 수 있으니까
Interesting. Sure.
구독자 초대석 할 수 있잖아요.
Right. Yeah.
예, 저 한국어 팟캐스트에서는 되게 많이 했기 때문에.
Right. Good point.
네네. 자, 그러니까 뭐 우리는 열려 있고요.
Yep.
이쯤에서 마무리하겠습니다. 그럼.
Yeah, let's wrap up.
네, 저는 지금까지 하프앤하프 프리미엄 에피소드의 정태웅이었습니다. 감사합니다.
And I'm Jeep. You've been listening to this premium episode of Half and Half. And that's all for now. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye. See ya. Bye.